it started with the Army first. It was a year in the Army, and then got out, tried college, didn't work out. I think I only did civilian life between, like, for like 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to the Navy, and yeah, I did 8 years, and I'm doing two for reserves right now. Just got signed up before I got my back surgery, but yeah,
Mm.
they're fighting right now to see if if I'm even eligible to stay in the reserves.
Yeah. What made you choose Army before Navy?
My great grandfather, he was a colonel. His last duty station was uh yeah, what is that one place in Japan? I was just next to it.
Was it like
But he was stationed. He was stationed in.
Yokosuka, like Iwo?
No, I was in. It started with an S, not Shibuya, um, or Shinjuku. I was in Yokosuka, but basically, growing up, I only got to know him. I think like to 3 years of my life, but there's like so many photos of me spending with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I always knew I wanted to join the service. My parents didn't like me doing that because they didn't want me to. We were at the time we were still over in Afghanistan. We were still losing troops left and right.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to be the guy on the line and doing the fight. So I did the Army. However, when I went to AIT, I was doing um, my transition physical, and that's where I found out I had a regular heartbeat.
Mm.
Which, come to find out, like 90% of the population has it, but they just don't know about it.
I
And
didn't
it's,
know that.
yeah, 90% of the population has an irregular heartbeat, just like a little flutter or something like that, and you really don't. It doesn't affect you whatsoever. It's just your heart. It stays going 24/7. It's not perfect. It's gonna have a little palpitation here and there. I always wanted to do Army.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of family. My grandfather, my cousins, like they all went Army, and they just the way they talked about it. I love their stories that they wanted to do. And
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. I did not pick the jobs that they did. My MOS was 13 Bravo, which is an artillery's expert. Um, so I chose that route instead of the grunt route, the infantry people. Went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for my BCT and AIT, which is schooling. Didn't work out that well. So I came home because they told me, hey, if you want to stay in the Army, you have to get a waiver for this, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, all right. And they're like, and
Sounds
you have to go
pretty
through boot camp all over again. I was like,
sounds
oh,
pretty
God.
basic. You have to get waivers for everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You have
So,
to be able to pass certain physical standards as well.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, dude, I don't want to go through boot camp again. Like, don't get me wrong, boot camp compared to Navy boot camp, 100 times better. I would happily do it again now that I look back on it. But um, back then, I wasn't wanting to. I wanted to get my life moving forward because I really wasn't doing much. I was a driver at Domino's, so I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I tried going to college because I wanted to go to law enforcement, but it just wasn't for me. I had a really miserable time with college, and I don't know. There's something about the military that kind of embedded itself in my head. So I was like, I'm gonna go back. So I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
do I have to do to get this gone? The Navy looked at me and they're like, dude, we can take you right now if you just get a waiver. I'm like, oh, okay, what do I have to do? I had to go do a stress test, which is they hook you up to an EKG, which is a heart monitor,
Yeah.
and they make you run until you get tired. And then from there, uh, I just had to go to a doctor, and they just took scans of my heart, and they had a giant printout sheet of my heart, and they didn't even see it on there. They were kind of like trying to understand what they were looking for, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. They were just as confused as I was at the time. But nothing showed up, so the Navy wrote me a sign off for it. I got waived. Went to boot camp like, shoot, I think it was only like 4 months after I got the waiver. Signed up directly as well, actually, I went to apply to SWIC first. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I got my contract before I did my final evaluation at MEPS, and then they took it away because my eyesight was 20/70.
Mm.
So I was pretty upset about that.
Yeah, no, that's that must have been pretty crushing, sign up to do something, as cool as Swick and hell even qualifying for it and stuff like that, and then you can't do it because, something like your eyesight, it's wild, man. Sorry to hear that, bro.
Yeah. But they tried to persuade me, they're like, try to go EOD. I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. Like I watched that Act of Valor. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're like running around on the boats and everything, like drilling down the Bronco on a
Mm-hmm.
50 and a minigun. Come to find out that was a real scene in Mississippi. That was real. Um, but yeah, I'm like, that's what I want to do. But no, so I chose ABH and I don't regret it. I had a bomb time being a director.
Yeah. Man, it sounds like you've you've done quite a few things in your military career, being from Army to going, trying to go SWIC Navy and stuff like that. And,
I tried to
it's,
make the most of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, you know, I, I started, I was MA, and then I went on, like, on DES as a deck seaman, and then now I'm in the air rate and stuff. You kind of pick things up along the way, regardless of how much time you spend in that actual rate and stuff like that. Um,
Right. I I think that's the one thing I hated about the Navy was it was such a, a hassle. Say like you did your job, like you fully experienced it, you want to enjoy the little things in it, but it's really hard to in some areas. Some people just aren't built out for certain jobs, but it's
mhm.
so hard to transition sometimes.
You're waiting on your police academy stuff, right?
Yeah, man. I'm on the final portion. I got my psych done. Now I'm just waiting for them to give me a letter grade and everything, which is what we're waiting on. And it's
Hmm.
been over a month now, dude. So it's a struggle because
Yeah,
I'm impatient. I've never stopped working, so this is the longest I've been without work. So this kind of sucks.
yeah. It's definitely something to get used to, I'm sure. I mean, like being on the move for as long as you were, you know, having somewhere you have to be every single day, wearing a specific thing every single day,
Yeah,
then the next thing you know, you're kind of just sitting there, standing by to stand by, except you're not getting paid to do it, and that kind
exactly.
of blows. Would you ever encourage like your children to join the military? Like what? Like okay, let's say if your son came up to you and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I want to join, this branch or or that branch." Um, what would you say to them? Like they just walk in, and they're like, boom, they hit you with it out of nowhere.
For my son, I would ask him why, like what's wrong with, a career choice that you can make? Like, have you thought about ways to go around it? Like, get to where you want to be in life or stuff like that. And if he really wants to go, I wanna inform him of my experience, like it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like you're gonna get beat down, you're gonna get bullied, you know, you're gonna feel like you're gonna feel like you want to just disappear one day. Because
Hmm.
I went through it. Um, and I want to make sure that he's like fully embraced it. Because I don't think that anyone will ever prepare you. Like they'll tell you the war stories, they'll tell you the fun things, they'll tell you what you want to hear, like every recruiter will do. But they don't tell you what you really need, what you need to prepare for. And I think that's crucial. My daughter, on the other hand, oh, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure she don't go. I've had too many friends that were females that had horrible experiences and everything like that, with sexual assault, sexual harassment, stuff like that. And I can't see myself as a father having that for my daughter. If I can, step in and do my best to persuade it to go a different direction and avoid that confrontation, that I happily will. However, if she's gonna sit there and tell me in my face she wants to do it, I want her to like be aware of it also. I'm gonna let her know like this is why dad is like asking you. Like I'm not harping on your brother because I expect better of him. But at the same time, you as my daughter, like I want you to have like the full aspect of what happens in the military and to not, it's not
Hmm.
pretty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got a daughter, you know where I'm coming from with this, I'm pretty sure. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, if I were ever in that situation, like I do encourage it because the experience you have, like you get to go to places that you thought that you'd never go to.
oh
First of
yeah,
all, right? And like it's a very cool. It can be a very cool experience. But I think one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of it, um, for with my time already, in the military is like you learn a lot about yourself. You find out, that you're capable of doing and being more than you ever thought that you would be. And there's a lot of takeaway from that. Um,
oh,
so I feel
absolutely.
like that's super, important, to know because I mean I think about it too a lot of times too. Is like there's a lot of people, in this world that they they're born, they live, and they die in the town that they were raised in, pretty much, and they never had that opportunity, or the chance to get out and really challenge themselves and basically see what they're made of, and like really get out of that comfort zone. And the military does that. It forces you to do that, and it teaches you how to be able to deal with so much of that stuff happening so rapidly and so fast and all at once. But I mean, that's some stuff that I would tell my kids. Like you said, there is a lot of negative, aspects of the military. Nothing's perfect. Um,
Right. No, yeah.
but I think really it's what you make of it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of cool things. Like I never thought my first duty station would have been friggin' Yokosuka, Japan. Like that was
Yeah.
probably the coolest experience that I could have asked for. Because then I got to go to Australia,
Hmm.
the Philippines, China, like Korea, like crazy areas that most people would never be able to get to go to. Um, so yeah, I'm obviously gonna tell my kids the cool stuff that I got to do and show them the cool photos and videos. Met a lot of cool people like you and Noah. Like definitely gonna stay in contact with you guys probably for life. Hopefully for life, as long as
Yeah. Well, I never thought
you
I'd,
don't
I'd
trade me
golf
up
as
for
much as
somebody.
I never thought I'd golf as much as I do if I hadn't met you. So.
Oh, dude, golfing's life. You know what I'm saying?
The other things, that I had mentioned and things that you mentioned too, but like the people, like I don't think there is any profession, or there's not many professions in this world that you can just be around a bunch of people that are so different and you guys just connect, you know, on the
Oh
same
yeah.
exact thing. Like there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people, that I meet and I'm really cool with that I never think that I would be friends with, if it wasn't for, being in the Navy and stuff like that. And it's just because you have that, they call it camaraderie. You guys are all suffering and embracing that suck, like all at the same time, regardless
Right.
of what your role is, in that branch of service and stuff.
Yeah.
And it has a way of bringing people together.
He sets in like especially when you're deployed. Like, hey, like we're in this together. Like this ain't gonna get
Hmm.
any better.
Yeah,
And you look at the
you're
guy
only
next
gonna
to you.
make it, only
Yeah.
gonna make it worse if you're not cool with people. Like that's just the way it is. What would you say was probably the craziest experience that you've had, when you were in the military?
Um, it's really kind of hard to
Oh,
say.
port,
um,
like your import craziness then. Like the craziest thing that happened to you, like in a foreign port.
when we first hit South Korea, we had hit Seoul, South Korea. Um,
That's the capital,
President
right?
Trump, yes, I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so.
Hmm.
President Trump just took his first office ever as the president at the time, and we pulled in and we were immediately hated. When you get there, you have to get on a bus to go into town from the boats because it's such a long ways away. But uh, they lined up the streets and they were throwing food at us. They were handing out flyers and pamphlets and posters and everything about Americans, how we're there to do these things to their women and children and ruin their country. And we're just like, bro, we're just here to have a good time and get some relaxation. And
It's
like,
like,
I
I'm
don't know
trying
what
to eat
you
some
want.
food, man. Like, relax.
Yeah, like I'm trying to eat anything that hasn't been freeze dried and stored on a boat for like 3 months. That's all I want to
Yeah.
do.
That was my
Um,
biggest thing was eating the food in foreign ports. I loved it.
oh, I loved foreign food. I loved Filipino food. That hit every time. It don't matter where you went. Oh man. Yeah, so that was crazy. And then within not even 6 hours of us being there, we all got emergency text messages that we had to come back to the boat due to the fact that there was a fight that happened on out in town. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say I wasn't a part of it, but I ain't gonna say I was. Yeah, there was a fight that had broken out. The um, the Nationals, they had said that it was our fault that we enticed the fight, which wasn't true. Um, and it wasn't good, so we got called back to the boat. We got stuck on the boat for another 24 hours, so that's already like a day and a half already gone of us being
Hmm.
on liberty. So the next day we got back out on the buses and everything. Finally the streets were cleared out and we were free for a little bit. We didn't know what we were going to do though, or where it was going to happen, but we knew something bad was going to happen.
Hmm.
So we just kept our heads on a swivel for a while. Um, I didn't like that. I wanted to experience, Korea, like talk to the people, get the good food, go to the nationals areas, like stuff like that. But yeah, that didn't happen, dude. We were on guard 24/7.
What's what's one thing that you wish that um like civilians knew about being in the military or just the military in general, that would help them understand more, about I guess like the culture and stuff like that.
Um, okay, I say this in a serious manner. Some people may think it's a joke. However, service members don't like being thanked for their service. Um, there's numerous reasons. For me in particular, um, it's a job. I chose it. Most people chose it just because they wanted to do it. It wasn't anything, special. But there's also some people out there that didn't want to do this job that kind of got
Hmm.
forced into this situation where they got in trouble with something or they, had no other alternatives. So, I mean, there's other reasons. Like, there's probably people that had like family problems or were making horrible life choices and thought that was the only way out. But
Hmm.
um, service members don't like being thanked for their service. Not to mention, like, I personally, like, it's happened to me like just as often. Every time I go out in public and my wife asks for a military discount, someone always gets offended. Like, oh, just because, you did this and you're a baby killer that you deserve recognition. I'm like, I didn't say any of that and I don't want any of that. Like, I
Hmm.
just, I'm just here. Like, my wife asked for the discount. I really don't care. Like, I don't use my discount. I use it for like reoccurring bills.
Yeah.
But I would say that. And for any, like, I always tell everyone the same thing. Like, I told my brother-in-law, because he just went to the army, you need to stay humble, dude. Because, joining is one thing, living the life and carrying it on, that's a lifetime commitment. And whether you want to think of it that way or not, you are, because whatever, you do down the road, it has repercussions,
Hmm.
like different repercussions for everybody. So if you get in trouble and everything, and they find out you're military, like depending on what your service was your consequences could have a different effect on you.
Definitely.
And these kids that come in nowadays, they come in like the world owes them something because they graduated boot camp. The world doesn't owe you anything. You have to earn that. Um, and that's like that's the fun part is you get to say you've earned everything the military gave you. Like you get a lot of cool benefits, but there's time and effort and stuff that go
Mm-hmm.
into it for you to get those things. I think that's another thing people need to understand is, you know, service members, a lot of their wounds are not visible. You know, some of
Mm-hmm.
them hold in demons, and we're trained to do that. You're not to
Yeah.
talk about your problems. You're supposed to deal with them yourselves in any way, and that's why most, vets or service members, that's why they drink. It temporarily eases the pain or
Mm-hmm.
eases the thinking process and everything. But yeah, you right, man. You right.
But anyway, man, it was definitely good, talking to you. I had a
Oh yeah, brother.
pretty, lengthy conversation. I think we needed to have one for a while. I haven't really touched base much with you. I know we've been both pretty busy, you with your stuff and dealing with a toddler now. So
Oh, dude, madness. It's madness. It's madness.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's been fun. We should definitely do this again one time. Maybe get some pretty good updates coming up. Yeah.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll definitely do this again, and hopefully by that time I get to give you the good news that I've been waiting on this whole time because I'm really impatient right now.
You'll get it, bro. Just have faith. Like I
I
said,
know.
it's a process.
Oh yeah. I'm
Well,
just
all right, big
impatient
dog.
to walk in.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I'll catch you later, bro.
All right, man. Give the family love for me. All right.
I will. You too.
All right, brother.
Later.
Later.